Now I will continue remaining part of this morning's teaching. This morning we were explaining about how these three visions, sound, light, rays, arise within this lifetime and during the dying time. So this lifetime, they arise, how one can experience, we already explained. Now the second one concerning with how these visions arise and could be experienced at the point of the death. Before actually facing death, as a yogi or practitioner who may be in the solitude places can check if their health is not so good, or suddenly one has certain doubt or suspicion, then one can examine about the death. We say checking or examining the death, whether one will face death immediately or after some time. So there is a detailed explanation about the examining the sign of the death. So this will come, another separate chapter is there. So there are external sign, internal sign, and secret signs about the death. So then when one actually face the death, we say the five cessations, five aspects of cessations can occur in the process of the death. We say Garbanga. So first one is Gapa, Nawa Gapa, the cessation of the visions, Joga Gapa, cessation of the element, and Sogaba, cessation of the life force, Nyamongaba, cessation of the emotions, Shejagaba, cessation of the subtle, subtle, we can say, obscurations of knowledge. Nawagaba, cessation of the vision, means when we face the process of death, as we lose our disintegrate the elements and also lose the control, maybe we can say like this, the strength of the five energies, which usually keeps our body balanced and function properly. So they are also started to, dissolve. So then this can cause one to cease all the visions. For example, five organs, five senses. For example, eye eventually lose its sights. We cannot see things anymore. Ear can lose its, perceptions, perceiving sounds. So like similarly, tongue, nose, all other senses, their function and then cease to perceive their respective objects. So that is called Nawagapa, the cessation of the visions. And then Jogagapa is the cessation or the dissolution of the elements. So which is explained in detail. So we will go, because mostly because of this, when these elements are start to disintegrate or dissolve, then this brings the seizure of all the other, like senses dysfunction, or also the dissolution of the emotions or power of the mind, senses. So all this. So therefore, the second one is more explained, more detailed. So we call disintegration of the elements. The disintegration of the element can happen in the gradual way or sometimes suddenly, all once. More in the average person and average, procedure, normal natural procedure. So it has to happen in the gradual way. So therefore, when the body is first formed from elements, so first space element, then wind element, then fire element, then water element, and then earth element, formed in this order, space, wind, fire, water, and earth. Now, when it disintegrates, it starts from the earth, water, fire, wind, and space, like that. So therefore, as one externally, when one element is disintegrated or dissolved, then as a sign, internally, the person can experience one specific light. This light is connected with the element. So for example, when earth element dissolves, then we experience the light, yellow light. So when the earth element dissolves, means it kind of dissolved back to its original condition, original sources. So therefore, one can experience the most pure dimension of the element, that particular element. So that this pure dimension of the element is experienced, appeared in the form of light. Okay, so therefore, chiru juware shingnas. So when externally, when one element is dissolved, internally one light manifests. So this light visions is experienced internally. It is not external kind of light or seeing anything, but internal. This visions is in the visions, the mental, vision. As for the when the earth element disintegrate or dissolves, as a sign, person can feel one's body become very heavy. So first one can feel one's body become very heavy, difficult to even to move. The present weight of the body, whatever kilos you have. So within each 7, we say moment or instant is like this. So this within 7 instant, this weight of the body become heavier. One, same as, how to say, add the heaviness as current, weight. If you have like 50 kilo now, maybe after 7 instants, it becomes 100. And after that, another 7 instants after 150, like this, After within 100,000 instant, whole completion, the cessation of the earth element completes.
Całkowite wyczerpanie.
So what we can notice, and this dying person, herself can feel, is that body become very heavy. So now this person, his own, again, physically is not like double or triple. So this person's, dying person's feeling, his body become heavier and heavier, as if it is like a mountain is like kind of like pressing, look very heavy. So gradually, so normally when people die, quite often people kind of like complains about his body being very heavy, difficulty of doing movements, or sometimes one feels as if one is falling down, like that. Even one sometimes people ask for help to lift him up, or even sometimes look for certain thing to which one can hold. They in his feeling like falling like that, try to hold on certain things like that. This kind of experience can happen. At that time, so that means the support of the earth element, which is the spleen among the 5 organs. The spleen is the support of the earth element. So therefore, spleen start to dysfunction, loses its function. And then as a sign, one can have, pores. Pore of the body, pore.
I don't know, but I know what you mean.
Okay. From there, you can see, basically, we can say from the body, one can start to feel unpleasant smell. In relation to this, then once the lips become, contract, and gums become visible. One cannot fully close, full mouth. So now these are the external things that we can see as a sign. And then internally, one can experience yellowish, light yellow, how to say, whitish, light yellow, we can say, light yellow light that arise from a channel. Here is explained as channel through which ignorance, or maybe we can say the confusion emotion moves from the front side of if you physically try to locate in the front side of the of the heart, from a channel through which the ignorance or confusion emotion moves, manifest a light which is like a more light yellow. So now when we have this kind of experience, external signs and internal experience, for ordinary person who doesn't have any spiritual background, then they see this like ordinarily. So in connection with these experiences, one can feel different kind of emotions. It depends on the characteristic, habit of the person. Some people are more relaxed, how to say, fearless. Some people may be very sensitive, easily feel panic and nervous. So, and also depending on the circumstances of the person's at that time's circumstances, like sicknesses, fragility in one's emotionally and physically, makes different. People have different reaction on these experiences. Some people may feel very frightened, very nervous, very panic, and some people may feel more relaxed, more kind of stable. Some people may feel more kind of. It depends on also very much on the individual's characteristics, character and habit, normal, like that. Then particularly if someone who is engaged with too many kind of disturbing activities, disturbing thoughts and disturbing emotions, then these kind of experiences can become the cause for the rise of more kind of like unpleasant experiences, fears and different kind of things. And someone who has more positive thoughts, positive, attitudes, can have, at least even one has not realized this illusion or empty nature of these things, but one can have more, relaxing and clear kind of reaction. So consequently, one can have different kind of like result in the transition of the pardo, and also that can impact to the birth condition of the rebirth of the next life. So therefore, as a practitioner during these times, then it is important to be mindfulness of one's practice, to remember, to remind one's practice. So depending on the background of what different kind of practice, whether one is more like engaged with familiar with the tantric practices, divinities, visualizations like this, or one is more engaged with the normal practice with compassion, refuge, bodhicitta, or one is more engaged with the practice of the dzogchen, meditation. So accordingly, we should remind them of their practices, and whatever these experiences happen, we should advise them to not to be frightened, not to be panic, like that. So therefore, for a practitioner, this is very important moment to remind of their practice. So then after that occurs the disintegration or the dissolution of water element. As a sign of this, so one lose the control of the urine. So maybe urine comes out, or khana or your mouth and nose become very dry, one feel more thirsty. And in connection to this, support of the water element, the kidney dysfunction, start to dysfunction. As a sign of this, also on your ear, ear and kidneys are connected. So on the top of this part of the ear become kind of like become loose. It's like a fall down. Feel discomfort in the ear, and hear the distorted sounds you don't hear properly. Maybe it sounds very kind of like corrupted or distorted way. And then at that time, in the right side of the heart, from a channel where the jealousy emotion moves, manifest a blue light. So then again, of all these things happens, one should know about the disintegration of the elements, and one should connect with the practice. As you can read in the Pardo prayers, each elements dissolves, different light manifest, and you pray for the recognition of this light as a state of different divinities such as Sawaranjung, Gela Kharjung, etc. The 5 family Buddhas. Like this is more like tantric way. But basically, whatever background one may have, if someone is more familiar with the Dzogchen, then one must recognize this as a self-manifestation of the Rigpa. All this, whatever experiences one is going through. So particularly these lights that one sees in inner vision as a self-manifested light of the Rigpa. Basically, you can see, the connection of for example, earth element. Among the 5 organs, the organ of the spleen, and then body, yellow light, emotion-wise, the emotion of the confusion or ignorance emotion, yellow light. These are all connection. This connection is there. When our body is formed, as ordinarily, they are connected to earth element, spleen, general the body, especially this skin, this part. Confusion, emotion. So among the, we can say, internal elements is like a flesh, the impure way, like that. If one recognize, then one can see this in the opposite, the pure dimension of this is like as a liberation of this light. If you don't recognize, this becomes like, this light is like the ignorance or confusion, yellow light. So if one recognizes it, it becomes like mirror-like wisdom. And like that. So you can go in this way. For example, water element, kidney, ear, and sound, and then the blue light, the light of the, jealousy emotion. Or when you realize this, is the wisdom, all-accomplishing wisdom. They jealous, Juma magic this. After that occurs the disintegration or dissolution of the fire element. As a sign, one feels very cold, one's body. Kangba Trangdes, especially the feet. One feels cold of the feet, very cold. And even one try to warm it up as much as possible, it cannot be warm up. And one complains of being cold. At that time, there's a support of the fire element, the chimba, the liver dysfunctions. And one loses the clarity of the sight, and one loses the control of the tongue. Tongue become very heavy, cannot, move. So you feel difficult to speak. At that time, and the backside of the inside of the heart, from a channel through which desire emotions moves, manifest a red color light, red light. Then after that occurs disintegration of the wind element.
Kolejny jest wiatr, który się rozpada.
As a sign, one feel panic, frightened and panic, like if one feels like if one is falling down, and one cannot move one's body. All the channels of the four limbs are kind of like dysfunction. So support of the wind element, which is the lungs, they become dysfunction. And one lose the sense of smell. What do you call this part of the nose? It's like a wing. We say wing of the nose falls inside. It doesn't stay like straight. English, what do you call? Nostril. Nostril is inside, whole. Many things of these things we can notice when people die, people are dying, we can see many of these things, we can see, what is happening. Maybe for someone who has nothing to do with the spirituality, doesn't know anything, not open for anything, just then this not so important. So just what is happening happens. So anyway, it will happen. So whether you know this or not doesn't make big differences. But for a practitioner who is very present, kind of keen to really try to connect with this, with the practice, then it is important to notice and to know what is happening. Once breath become very difficult to breathe, so they take very long breath. So once you breathe out, it is difficult to breathe in, inhale. At that time, inside your heart, in the left side, there is a channel through which the pride emotion moves. From there manifest green, kind of reddish green light. And then after that, one experiences like a sasup, like if the dark is falling, in the night, before night falls, sun is set already, and then not completely dark, so slowly dark is falling, that like this kind of moments, like the dark is falling. So one feels it's like a moment of Chichang Sawata Cheba. Like normally in that evening, if you go to the countryside, that is very normal. So when the dark falls, all the animals, including dogs, birds, everyone started to go back to find their own nest, their own home. They try to look for a hiding place. So one feels something like that kind of like feeling and vision. And one cannot close one's eyes, eyes looking up and cannot close. At that time, in the center of the heart, a channel from which the anger moves, manifest a blue light connection with the space element, anger emotion, impure in terms of the impure dimension, anger emotion, space element, heart organ. In terms of the five aggregates, it is consciousness, aggregates of the consciousness or mind. This happens. When it is recognized and pure dimension, it is emptiness wisdom and related visions of the nirvana. So yeah, these are the now different inner sign, visions, external signs of the disintegration or dissolution of these five elements, step by step. At that time, in one's vision, in the eyes, one can also see different kind of like rays, different forms of like visions like rays, like different colors, like a 5-color, like rainbow-like colors. In the ear, one can hear different kind of sound, and particularly very strong, like sound of roaring. At that time, then at the last moment, your breath, because you don't have so much energy, even the breath is not coming out, properly. So it looks like it is stuck with the tongues and lips, breath together. And then you take final breath, and then you stop. So now we can study and try to kind of get familiar with these processes and experiences and visions that is mentioned in the text. Probably you can find a slightly different explanation in another text. So it doesn't matter so much because of these explanations, the signs and inner light and visions. These are something that averagely one can have experience. But not everybody is not same. Some can have bigger experiences, some can have lesser, some can feel, all even these external signs. So some can have very strong and visible, some may have a little bit less visibility. It depends on the many different circumstances. So why we say this is now for the practitioner, it is very important. So at that time, if someone who is dying, he himself can remember, that it would be the best. But otherwise, someone who is close to him or her should remind. Of course, if they are open for this or not, they want, we have to see their condition. If they are too much emotion, too much, afraid, too much, feeling, how to say, suffering or kind of like disappointment of this situation, then even if you say so many things, looks like reminding him now you are dying, they may feel more panic, I think. So therefore, depending on the person's, circumstances, even someone who is practitioner, maybe they, at the point of the death, it is big, emotion, big shock. So therefore, if you say, okay, now you are dying, this is time you have to be careful. Maybe he feel more panic. So you have to check. Normally, that's why the person who helps, who guides, give these advices, should be someone who is very close, who knows the person, and then the person can trust to the person, If someone, that's why usually we kind of like ask for a spiritual teacher or lama to whom he or she has most connection and kind of like a spiritual bond with a strong trust and devotion. And when such person comes and give advices, this person feels more confidence and more trust and less fear because of there's a strong connection and strong trust. So that is why it is always used traditionally. If someone, the Lama, someone his own, usually we say root master, root teacher, Lama, who has great devotion and trust, is around, then we ask this Lama to come and to ask, give advices and do the prayers. So even by giving advices to him, even he is not situation to understand, but by coming and doing some prayers and certain kind of rituals that he can see and he can feel, can give him a great sense of confidence and trust, less, fear and panic. So this is way how we help. Otherwise, someone good, very strongly connected spiritual friends, who the friend also knows what to say, what to tell to the person, dying person. So otherwise, someone who is dying, and then if you are reminding him, or now you are dying, what you have to say to your family, this or that, at that moment you are asking, then it kind of reminds all the samsaric conditions, all the problems, all things. So then it becomes a very big disturbances in the person. So therefore, it is better not to remind of any samsaric conditions in any kind of like problem, especially problematic issues, disputes or anything. If there need to be something to settle down, it should have done much earlier, not at the point of the death. So that is very important. So then he says, in this way, when the external breath is stopped, the internal breath is not stopped. During this time, the person's consciousness is much like 14 times more clear than now. So therefore, this moment, it is very important to give instructions, introductions or explanations of what kind of practice, depending on his background. Accordingly, we should give advice. So if we want to do power practice on behalf of this person, then preferably this is the moment, right moment to do the power. So then all other, introductory instructions or whatever you have to say. So it is very important to do during this moment. Therefore, traditionally, when someone who is, as soon as one stops one's breath, then someone, a lama or a spiritual friend, would call from his ear strongly, and telling now that you are in the death state. So you should remember all your practice, connect to your practice, and pray, take refuge in three jewels, etc. Whatever. So we have to do, should be done in this moment. Now here comes the second part. Dhamma Cheparchinji Saldep. The Saldep, what kind of instruction one should do, give to this moment. So then here is some example of different instructions according to different background or capacity of the people. Okay, we can go through this tomorrow. So anybody has any questions? We have a few minutes, then we can take a break.
Is there anything said in the text about the timing for collapsing of the elements?
Timing.
Timing, I mean like, I don't know, Earth for 1 hour or 2 hours or something like this.
Doesn't say timing exactly. Traditionally, habitually, Tibetans are not good for timing. We don't have precise timings. We are very flexible. Also, death is very flexible. We cannot say, I'm going to die in 5 minutes. We cannot say I should go fast, otherwise the gate of the Pardo will close. Pardo gate is open all the time. Now, for example, there's one thing that is mentioned in the, for example, as for the completion of disintegration of the earth element, for example, here is given, like just for starting, then the weight of the body, you feel heavier and heavier. Basically every within 7, after every 7 instant, we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So adds same weight as current, whatever weight you have, like 5 kg, and then 1, 2, 3, 50 kg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Another 50 kg added. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Another 50 kg added. So in this way, like after altogether 777 many times, 100,000 of instant within this duration, then the disintegration of the earth element will complete. That is what is mentioned. So basically, yeah, like from its starting, for within 100,000 instant, one's supposed to, if everything is normal and everything so if earth element takes like this, the other should also take more or less similar. You can think like this. It is logically, but it's not mentioned in the text.
The question goes like this. He heard sometimes there is one person and one person is incarnated as, let's say, 3 bodies, like a physical bodies, incarnation. One person is incarnated as 3 people.
3 people,
yeah,
okay.
It happens. So the first part of the question is, if in the case of death of every one amongst that people, everybody dies the same way, like is incarnated as a three bodies.
Yeah.
So if anybody dies the same way in terms of dissolution of elements, and
If
so on and so
everybody.
on. No. Like if their death is just purely the same, like let's say somebody was
The
reborn as a,
person, one person in three incarnations,
Yeah.
when they die,
If-
whether they die
when
in
they
the same
die
way.
the same way. That's the first part of the question, and the
Mhm.
second part is what happened. What happens with these people when one died and let's say two more still are alive? Is there any influence on those still living?
No, no influence. One sun, you put three bowls of water, you see three suns in the three bowls of the water.
Mhm.
Okay, three suns. But all these three suns are actually one that is in the space
Mhm.
or wherever. The idea of manifestation of one person in different forms, 3%, 5%, 100, thousands. So this idea is basically someone who has highly realized being, person, who has highly realized, like high, we say Aryas, Bodhisattva. For example, when, according to the sutra system, when someone attained the third path, among the five paths, third path of the seeing. So when such person attains in this third path, one can have this ability somehow to like manifest like within one instant, one time, in like 100 like places, 100 manifestations, 100 places, 100 you can do like teachings. Such person can give teachings in 100 different places, in 100 manifestations, 100 such and such things. That is the idea. So metaphor for this is like when a sun is shining, one single sun or moon, if you have like 100 bowl of water, each bowl there is this sun. If you have 3 bowls of water, in 3 bowls. So when one bowl of water is taken away, 2 bowls of water still remains there. So they are not necessarily influenced, but at the same time they are in the same essence.
Mhm.
So this is the idea.
Mhm.
So this will not apply for ordinary person like us.